We're all professionals. You know, we have to do a way better job than what we've been doing as far as performing for the name across our jerseys, from the front and the back. So, you know, I'll try to be there as much as possible. My guys on from the bench, but you know, we still have to look deep. Everyone has to look in the mirror individually and try to pull out whatever they can give to these last 6 games.
Just kind of depends on who, you know. So I think that's something that is it's very evident on a guy like Phil Pressey. You know, he gets into the ball, he creates a play late, he gets amped up. The next play he gets a jump ball. Like, you know, I had a boss one time, and this is a great line. He said, "Fun is doing something well together." And so, you know, it's not supposed to be. We're not all supposed to be out there, you know, oh well, who wins? You know, this is professional basketball. We have to have some seriousness about us. But if you do something really well together, there's no more fun than that.
Stop me if you heard this before, but the Celtics lost.
Stop. I've heard it before.
Stop.
They lost.
Okay.
111, 102. Garden Report, Celtics blog, CLNS Radio. Let's go. All right, so this is the Garden Report. Evans Clinchey and Jimmy Toscano from Celtics Blogger with me. I'm Jared Weiss from CLNS Radio. Thumbs up, Jimmy, because the Celtics lost again, and the Jazz won, which means the Celtics now have a game lead on that 4th spot there.
A lead.
In the lottery.
They moved up a spot.
What's lead backwards?
They have a retreat, I guess. A one-game retreat, but they lost tonight. It was a close game for a while, and then the 4th quarter happens.
Yep.
And it was pretty ugly. So, Evans Clinchey, a lot of despair coming from Brad Stevens.
A lot of despair.
A lot of call to action coming from Rajon Rondo. What's the mindset of this team?
I think Brad Stevens' answer was it depends on who. You know, he said that you look at a guy like Phil Pressey, and he's still enjoying the game. He's still running up and on the floor, making plays, and really active.
Undrafted rookie.
Yeah, there's a lot of undrafted rookies on this team, so just get used to it.
Right.
I think a third of their players that are healthy right now are undrafted rookies. But, I mean, it depends on the guy. I think a guy like Rondo, a guy like Chris Humphries, who's been around the league and has, you know, seen better than this, is probably pretty frustrated. But there are some players who are just kind of enjoying being in the moment. You look at these Sixers, and, you know, they're just too naive to care about the losing. They're just out there playing basketball, you know, auditioning for the next job. A lot of guys on both these teams are like that. So, I mean, it's hard to give a collective entire team mindset because every guy's different. Every guy's in a different situation. There's surely guys in that Celtic locker room, you know, guys like Jeff Green, Brandon Bass, who are just sick of the losing, I'm sure. Other guys are kind of just going through this and getting by from day to day.
I agree. And I think if you took like a snapshot of Brad Stevens at every one of his post-game press conferences,
it'd be a good flip book, right?
The way it started, it'd be like... by the end of it, it's going to be like that because he doesn't know what to say anymore. I don't blame him.
And this is the Boston media kind of wearing it down throughout the press conference.
You guys are jerks.
Yeah, but even before we say anything, you can just see it in his eyes. I mean, today he looked maybe the worst I've seen him, I think, coming out of a game.
I feel like we've said that in the last 4 episodes.
I know. It's getting... Well, every time we're like, well, rock bottom for the Celtics, and we're finding out that it can get... Just when you think it can't get any worse, it does.
Worse is Wednesday in Washington, so, you know.
Right, so now it's
losing by
Friday.
26 or whatever.
But whatever. It's kind of interesting because when the Sixers were going, you still felt like they were a more positive team than the Celtics team is, and it's because the Celtics have those veterans that the Sixers don't have, and yeah, like guys like Brandon Bass, Jeff Green, Rondo, they don't want to sit through a season like this and lose these games. But then you talk to somebody like Sellinger, and who doesn't want to lose either, but a little more like upbeat in a sense where they're trying to get better. Olynyk, you talked about Pressey. There's some of that, and you got to hope that overcomes the sort of the downward spiral that they're going on, because these guys can see the end of the road. You know, they'll probably start to make some calls, get their stuff together where they're moving it back. You know, that starts to play into the whole thing here. So you hope that they can focus on the games and try to finish out the season strong. But if the last 2 games are any indication, it's not going to end up that way.
Well, glaring weakness lately has been the interior defense.
Oh, yeah.
They don't have a center. And it's been a huge
Show
issue lately. Tonight,
Henry Sims noticed that. He's like, oh, I'm going to exploit this.
So the Sixers
I'm a center.
So the Sixers took 37 free throw attempts, Celtics 21, and Henry
Sims.
I had to check the stat sheet to remember his last name.
18.
Henry Sims had 18 of those free
He
throw
almost
attempts. He was basically
has
the
many
difference.
free throws as
Yeah.
the Celtics.
It's incredible.
Career high, clearly, but
It-
even career high for points.
This is basically the first
anybody
big
ever.
game Henry Sims has ever had in his career.
Right.
He is. I mean, he's a big guy and he's somewhat athletic, but he was just walking all over Jared Sullinger, Chris Humphries, Brandon Bass, and a lot of the time there wasn't even a guy down there. I mean, every time the Sixers would try to get the ball strong side, then go back door, there was no one there to recover. It's like the communication, which is something that was talked about before the game for the Celtics. Communication on defense. It's basically dying out at this point.
No, and the thing about Sims is, I mean, he's a guy that didn't play at all last year. Got signed to the Cavs this year, bounced from the D League to their team. Was a throw-in in the deal for Spencer Hawes, and since then he's been playing 20 to 30 X minutes, whatever, a night. But this was his best game. But he has been showing that he's not just some scrub, some guy off the street. I mean, I think he's proven that he's an NBA player. That said, he should not have 24 points against the Celtics.
No, he
should
should
not
not.
go to the line 18 times.
No, he should not.
Yeah.
I mean, guys like Jaron Sullinger, Chris Humphries. I mean, yeah, are they the typical centers? No, but let's be real here. I mean, they're not incompetent of stopping a guy like Henry Sims. So I felt like they just came out flat. They have the energy. They all said it after the game that the Sixers came out just harder and stronger and faster.
Yeah, I think it really comes down to
Kanye West.
motivation. I mean, a guy like Henry Sims has a real reason to play hard in these games. He's trying to earn the next job.
Yeah.
He's playing against Jared Sullinger, who knows he's going to have a job next year, and of course he should. Like, there's no real impetus for him to play hard in these games because he's pretty secure in where he is on the Celtics. But I mean, Henry Sims, Elliot Williams, Hollis Thompson, all these guys are auditioning for the next thing.
Yeah.
And Brett Brown was saying pregame that he loves coaching these players because they're all playing hard. They all have a reason to. And it's just being around that environment. It's just a really cool thing for the coach, for the players. They're all enjoying it.
Definitely.
And the Celtics can't say that.
No.
And I mean, the thing though is that those are all guys fighting for a roster spot.
Exactly.
Every single game.
Yeah.
And the Celtics, while they do have some guys like that, I feel like those guys have generally overachieved. Like Chris Johnson, good example of a guy
He was
who's
pretty bad
much
tonight,
overachieved. But yeah, well, you know what? But his shooting was
2 for 11.
Yeah, 2 for 11. That
Exactly
was pretty
my
terrible.
point,
But he seems like he's figured out how to be active in the offense and how to at least get himself opportunities in the offense. I mean, the fact that he's basically the eighth man and he got 11 field goal attempts tonight, it's pretty good for an eighth man. So Chris Johnson at least is making himself active and making himself valuable. Chris Babb hasn't got the chance to really. But there's a lot of guys on this team that aren't really putting themselves in position to get an opportunity.
It's true.
You know what? They might have more opportunity tomorrow when you take a look at who the Celtics aren't going to be able to
All
address.
right, pop quiz. Jared, how many players do they have for tomorrow's game active and ready and healthy to play? No,
Don't
no
look.
looking. Guess.
Let's see.
Did not mean to cut your finger there.
Is it 8?
Ooh, so close. It's 9.
9? Okay.
Yeah.
Because of that Rondo.
No
All right.
Rondo, no Bradley, no Humphreys, no Bogans, obviously.
All right, so can we do this? It's
No Wallace.
No
Sullinger,
Favarani,
Olenek,
Favarani.
Joel Anthony, Jeff
Oh, yeah.
Green,
Jared Bayless,
Chris
Babb,
and then Babb
Chris
Johnson and
Preston.
Pressey. Those are your 9.
That's
it.
That's a team right there.
That is your
It's
entire
a
team.
NBA basketball team with many, many, many air quotes.
But they are playing
It's-
the Pistons, and you never know what the heck.
Which is also an NBA basketball team.
It's
despite
3
the all-stars
undrafted
on the
rookies,
roster.
1 drafted rookie in Olenek, and 5 actual veteran players.
As bad as this Celtics season has been, you could argue that the Pistons season has been far worse.
Oh, way.
far worse. Yeah.
Considering the money and the expectations and all that.
I mean,
yeah.
they've been the biggest disappointment out of every NBA team this year.
I think Joe Dumars,
far.
ESPN just named him the worst executive in all of basketball. And that's
He's
Joe
earned it.
Dumars a few years ago was considered one of the best.
Tomorrow's game will feature the
I think-
2 absolute worst big guys shooting threes that need to stop shooting threes.
But Josh Smith and Jared
So-
Sullinger.
Exactly. That'll be a great matchup. Who doesn't want to see that?
Yeah, but
Can't
Josh
wait.
Smith's in the middle of his career where there's no hope anymore. Jared Sullinger, there's at least hope
He's
that
got
it
an
could be a
excuse
part
for
of his game
experimenting
at
with it.
some
I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But he's off.
And he's in Jared Sullinger at least in a situation where he can get away with that. Josh Smith is on a team that was supposed to be competing for at least
Yeah,
a
they're paying him a
playoffs-
lot of money
high
to
playoff spot,
get his
yeah.
head out of his butt. Yeah.
All right,
it's
okay.
true.
We'll talk about it next episode. Let's go to part 2. We're going to open up the Twitter bag and answer your questions. This is the Garden Report, Celtics blog, and CLNS Radio.
That's a good question. Somewhere around forever. I don't have a 24-hour rule. I probably should. I can tell you about every single one of my losses at Butler, and I could probably go through every single one this year. A lot more than the wins.